MeMonster.
Chapter 126, December 25th. Christmas. On this beautiful holiday celebrated by lovers and families, a huge piece of news swept through Korea. The world's #1 guild, Creators Sacred Grace, announced their Tower of Miracle campaign. Although the announcement came 2 weeks late, I didn't mind much since the result was the same. I had already bought 4 billion won's worth of their stocks, and I should be able to sell them soon. Are you worried? Currently, I was on the phone with Kim Soo-ho while reading the stock guild chart. Creators Sacred Grace, plus 10.1%. It was rare for a top guild stock to fluctuate so much, but Creators Sacred Grace's stocks were already up 10%. Since I used stock market leverage, my profit was almost 100%. Not at all. The conquest of the Tower of Miracle would last for 6 months. Although most tower conquests ended within 3 months, the Tower of Miracle was currently the world's largest tower. If they couldn't conquer it in 6 months, Creators Sacred Grace would have to announce their defeat. I thought about stopping them since I knew they would fail, but it was unlikely their guild master would listen to a kid like me. After all, he refused to listen even to Yoon Song-ah. Not at all. The conquest of the Tower of Miracle would last for 6 months. Although most tower conquests ended within 3 months, the Tower of Miracle was currently the world's largest tower. If they couldn't conquer it in 6 months, Creators Sacred Grace would have to announce their defeat. I thought about stopping them since I knew they would fail, but it was unlikely their guild master would listen to a kid like me. After all, he refused to listen even to Yoon Song-ah. She'll come back with glory. I hope so too. Since the announcement was delayed by 2 weeks, they might have a chance of succeeding. Though, by the same logic, they might suffer a bigger loss. From this point on, I couldn't be sure of the future. I might have a forest of knowledge in my head, but there were an infinite number of trees in it. There was simply no way for me to know every single one. Oh, by the way, are you on your way to meet Chae Na-yoon? I glanced at my watch. 11:59 a.m. It was a minute before the time Chae Na-yoon had forced on me. Why would I be? What? Come on, don't be like that. She planned a lot for today. What? Well, she asked me about what you liked and what to do together that's fun. She was looking forward to today a lot, so you have to go. It seemed Kim Soo-ho was more worried about Chae Na-yoon and me than Yoon Song-ah. I'm hanging up. Wait, please just go, please, please. Why are you acting cute towards me? It was a very Kim Soo-ho thing to do. With a grin, I hung up. I closed the laptop, laid down on the couch, and turned on the TV. After spending an hour just passing time, dee-dee-dee, the door opened and Evandel and Hyung returned from their walk. We're back! Meow! Evandel raced to the couch as soon as she closed the door and stared at me intently. From the look in her eyes, she wanted something from me. Realizing it was about time for her favorite anime to start, I handed her the remote and went into the bedroom. I flopped down on my bed, letting out a subconscious sigh. My heart throbbed with pain, and I suddenly had a strong urge to smoke. Feeling like this uncomfortable feeling would continue if I stayed still, I looked at my smartwatch reluctantly. There weren't any messages or calls from Chae Na-yoon. In that case, she should have already gone home. An hour had already passed, and with her personality, there was no way she was waiting for me. Telling myself that, I picked up the game console. Just like that, it became 3 p.m. In the end, I left the bedroom unable to calm my throbbing heart. Evandel was sleeping on the couch, using Hyung as a pillow. When I carefully turned the doorknob so not to wake her, Evandel and Hyung got up and stared at me with sleepy eyes. Evandel? I'm going out for a bit. I'll bring back yummy food. Evandel went back to sleep. I quickly left the dorm. Riding the bike I had parked in the lot, I slowly drove to Daehun's VIP hospital. She's still there. I came here thinking just maybe, and I was right. Chae Na-yoon was leaning on the hospital wall, wearing clothes that were clearly chosen with care. Her short hair had a soft wave, showing she got her hair done, and she was uncharacteristically wearing light makeup. Looking at her, the throbbing pain in my heart grew stronger.
Swallowing a sigh, I slowly drove towards Chae-na-yun. She was staring at her smartwatch, pouting. But when she heard the engine noise of my bike and looked up, she smiled brightly. "Oh, hey, Kim Hajin!" Pointing at me, she ran up in a hurry. You're very late. Where were you?" "I didn't agree to meet in the first place." That was all I could say. Chae-na-yun leered at me once, but didn't complain. She just held up her watch. "I had a lot planned for today. We were supposed to eat brunch at noon, bowl at 1, go to a cafe at 2, visit a tarot fortune teller at 3, go to an arcade at 4, go to a restaurant at 4:40. Hearing her recite the schedule she had planned out, I lightly smacked her head. "Ook?" She stiffened and raised her head slowly. I thought she'd react more, but she only looked at me confused and asked, "Why did you hit me? Who plans everything out like that? This isn't combat training." "Then what do we do?" "Let's go on a drive. We have about 2 hours left." I tapped the seat behind me. "Drive? Sure." Chae-na-yun rejoiced. Once she got on the back seat, I stepped on the accelerator. "Let's go straight to the arcade. After we play games for 40 minutes, we can go to the restaurant." "Shut up, fool. Dates are supposed to be spontaneous." It's not a date. I told you not to I sped up to stop her from justifying it more. Instead of going to the arcade, I made a big circle around Seoul. On the snowing Christmas day, we drove around, seeing Seoul's beautiful scenery. Although I came 3 hours late, we saw many things and enjoyed our time together. We stopped by a clothing shop, and by the time we left, we were wearing completely different clothes. We then ate at a restaurant, and I forced Chae-na-yun to eat some pancakes. After spending 2.5 hours together, it was time for her to go, so I drove her to the portal station. Domestic portal station. Chae-na-yun had to take Namyun portal. However, she stayed near me, hesitating to go. "Hurry, you're going to be late." I never look at her straight. I muttered as I stared at the portal in the distance. Chae-na-yun nudged my shoulder. "Hey." Today was fun. Chae-na-yun's short and calm words made me feel bitter and pained me more. "I'm glad. By the way, before I come back, don't—" She didn't finish her sentence. After hesitating for a moment, she shook her head and smiled. "Never mind. I'll see you soon anyway." With that, she put her hand out. Though small and white, her hand was rough and covered with calluses. With a bitter smile, I grabbed her hand. She must have liked the sensation, as her cheeks turned faintly red. "Your hand is pretty big and soft." "Because I only have to pull the trigger when I train." "I'm jealous. Come." Anyways, Chae-na-yun let out a dry cough and let go of my hand. "I'll see you later." I smiled silently. "Then I'm going." "Yeah. Stay safe."
With those last words, Chae-na-yun walked to the portal, glancing back a couple of times regretfully. January 3rd, the third day of the new year. In the sleeting weather, I got in a sedan parked in a desolate park. Jane and a man I hadn't met before were sitting in the front seats, while Boss was sitting in the back. This is the helper I was talking about, so don't be too surprised. Hello. Judging by the man's reggae-style hair and dark skin, he was likely Khalifa, the Chameleon Troop's seat of blue. Now that the main hero is here, everyone close your eyes and entrust yourselves to my magic power. Jane unleashed her magic power. I did as she said. Jane's magic power touched my body, and I could feel something being painted over my skin. Done! Here are your fake IDs. 3 minutes. It only took 3 minutes for us to become completely different people with Jane's gift. I opened my eyes and looked at the rear-view mirror. Reflected in it was the image of a nurse, not Kim Hajin. I don't know why you want to make things this difficult. We could have just used poison. Jane's first idea was to use poison. However, the devil's seed couldn't be killed so easily. That was why I prepared the God-slaying bullet. The plan is simple. We'll enter Chae-jin-yoon's room disguised as nurses, then we'll bring him out and kill him in a secluded place.
Although Jane made her plan sound easy, in reality it was extremely difficult considering the security inside the VIP hospital. However, it was possible with Jane's ability of disguise and Khalifa's ability of portal. As for how we're going to bring him out, that's why he's here. He has the ability to open portals, but if the magic power undulation is too great, we'll be found out by the mercenaries outside the room and the security system. So our best bet is using a small portal that travels only 20 kilometers. Once you go through the portal, the disguise I put on you will wear off, but you won't have to worry about anyone seeing you. We already have a barrier set up where you and Chae Jin-yoon will stand off. There, I would have to face Chae Jin-yoon head-on. Once you and Khalifa leave, Boss and I will craft the fake that will stay lying in bed, just in case a mercenary walks back in. All you need to do is finish your task and come back through the helper's portal. Jane's ability wore off once her target went beyond a set distance. To maintain the fake Chae Jin-yoon, Jane had to stay in the hospital room. Now get off and pretend like you're heading to work. Only I will be in the sedan. I'll stay close enough to maintain your disguise, so don't worry. Just make sure you're not more than 4 kilometers away. The distance restriction of Jane's gift is 10 kilometers when disguising one person, 8 kilometers for 2, 6 for 3, and so on. Khalifa got off first, followed by me, then Boss. The sedan then drove off slowly. The three of us began to follow the sedan, maintaining an appropriate distance. We successfully entered the VIP hospital. I headed to the counter and waited for Jane to call me. "Hey, Yunsi." At exactly 11 a.m., Jane called me. "Yes? It's time to check on Chae Jin-yoon's condition. Follow me downstairs." Yes." I followed Jane down the stairs, along with another nurse and a doctor. They were Boss and Khalifa in disguise. We took the escalator down and arrived downstairs. Once we were in front of Chae Jin-yoon's room, Jane looked at the clipboard she was holding and spoke to the mercenary standing guard. 11:10 a.m. It's time for a checkup." "Yes." The mercenary let us through without suspicion. As soon as we entered the room, we locked the door. Inside, Chae Jin-yoon was sound asleep. Jane murmured quietly, "CCTV." I was in charge of dealing with the CCTV. Using my smartwatch, I temporarily stopped the CCTV. Just this took 200 SP. "I'm done." "Good." Jane turned to Boss. "Boss, be careful so that the mercenaries outside don't notice." "I know." Boss unleashed her magic power with extreme care and created 2 magic power puppets. Next, Jane turned them into Chae Jin-yoon and the nurse I was disguised as. "All right, you're up next, Khalifa." "Okay." Immediately afterwards, Khalifa created a small portal. Whoom! This time, the undulation of magic power was stronger. We had to hurry before the mercenaries outside noticed and came in. "What was that? Hello? Did something happen inside?" I put Chae Jin-yoon on a wheelchair I had prepared and walked into the portal. The portal led to a desolate forest. The ground was covered with sleet, and the trees nearby were all bare. In front of me, I could see a wooden bench. I parked the wheelchair next to it and waited for Chae Jin-yoon to wake up. All of a sudden, Chae Na-yoon's face began to overlap with Chae Jin-yoon's. She was looking at me with a bright smile. But I suppressed the thoughts popping up in my head. I needed to free myself from all thoughts and ideas. Fucking hell. But I just couldn't do it. I took out a white box I brought just in case. Cigarettes. Putting what I had inadvertently quit in my mouth, I lit it with magic power. An acrid smoke passed through my throat and invaded my lungs. The unpleasant combination of nicotine and tar made me relax, if only a little. After waiting in the cold weather and cigarette smoke for an unknown amount of time, Chae Jin-yoon finally opened his eyes. Chae Jin-yoon stared at me without being perturbed by the unfamiliar scenery. I stared back at him, and bowed. Chae Jin-yoon spoke. Kim Hajin? I didn't reply. Where are we? I didn't reply. Did something happen to the hospital room? I didn't reply. Instead, I took out my gun and loaded it with the God-slaying bullet. Hajin? Chae Jin-yoon's innocent voice gave me a heart-wrenching pain. I closed my eyes and let out a deep breath. I dropped the cigarette on the ground and stomped the ember out. Then, I finally spoke. Chae Jin-yoon, have you heard of the devil's seed? What? It should be something that hasn't been confirmed in this world. Looking down at Chae Jin-yoon, I continued. I felt like I needed to explain why he had to die. In a way, it was to show respect, but in truth, it was a cowardly self-justification. A devil's seed is a devil that takes over a human body, almost like a parasite. But once the seed sprouts, the devil will take over its host's body, transforming it into its real self. My clothes fluttered from the fierce wind. Because of the cigarette I smoked for the first time in almost a year, I could still feel the bitterness in my mouth. I slowly raised my gun and pointed it at his head. Chae Jin-yoon, this seed is in your body. You will become a devil. My vision turned blurry. My hands were trembling uncontrollably. I'm sorry. Really, I'm sorry. However, I couldn't help but hesitate.
Chae Na-yoon's face rose up in front of me. Her smiling face overlapped with Chae Jin-yoon. The feeling she had for me touched my heart once again. Pain shook my heart, and sorrow suffocated my throat. I was afraid. I was afraid of the pain she would feel and the wound she would come to bear. It was then. Chae Jin-yoon's face contorted frighteningly. At the same time, demonic energy rose up from his body, burning the ground and stifling me. Chae Jin-yoon's entire body turned ash black. Chae Jin-yoon, or rather the devil that took over his body, reached out toward me. From its deathly black fingers and blood-colored eyes, I could feel an undoubtable killing intent. But even as its hand drew ever closer to my neck, I hesitated. Due to mental exhaustion, I didn't have the strength to pull the trigger. My hesitation should have led to my death. However, no danger came my way. Silent and distant, it was as though the world stopped. Standing in the middle of this serene forest, I looked into the devil's eyes. Its bloodshot eyes were frozen and unmoving, but carried a tinge of tears. Immediately, my heart sank. The devil's seed was unable to fully sprout and was being blocked by Chae Jin-yoon's will. Chae Jin-yoon was staring at me, suppressing the evil within him. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't make the situation any better. Chae Jin-yoon's decision was clear, and I couldn't betray his conviction. I couldn't let his effort go to waste. Clenching my teeth, I re-aimed my gun. This time, I won't hesitate. For me and for you. When my finger was about to pull the trigger, a small thought rose up in my head. Chae Jin-yoon, the man I created. He was a kind, warm, selfless, and righteous hero. Quang! I pulled the trigger. In an instant, the world seemed to get farther and farther away as a brilliant light dyed the surroundings white. The God-slaying bullet pierced through Chae Jin-yoon's forehead and destroyed the seed residing within. His blood and brain fluid splattered all over me. His bones pelted my skin, and a strange ringing sound reverberated in my ears. My legs gave way, and I collapsed on the ground. All sorts of emotions swept through me. My face became wet with what could have been tears or blood. From my mouth, an indecipherable sound came out. I couldn't tell if it was the cry of a human or a beast. Today, I murdered Chae Jin-yoon.
Chapter 127. My body felt heavy,
and dizziness swept through my head. In this state, barely holding on to my sanity, a strange suspicion rose within me. Was this world a novel or reality? Suddenly, the sentences I wrote in my novel flashed through my mind. The contents of my novel came to life. Che Yin-yoon's heroic tales, the Tower of Wish, Artifact Scrambles, the Tower of Miracle. But these things could no longer happen. For the first time, I was overwhelmed by the realization that I had killed someone. I could hear the sound of something breaking inside me. This world was just a novel. It was the sound of that subconscious belief shattering. Tss. Take care of the corpse, Boss muttered. I stared at Che Yin-yoon, lying tragically with half his head blown off. He had partially transformed into a devil. Demonic energy still lingered in his body, which would soon combust in a huge explosion. Boss helped me up. In that instant, I noticed my body was half burned. The thin clothes I wore for Jane's disguise had burned away when I fired my gun. Although my feet were on the ground, I couldn't stay standing. Staggering, my head fell onto Boss's shoulder. Boss stood still and supported me. Soon, a portal appeared nearby. Jane and Khalifa walked out, and when they saw what happened, their expressions turned grave. At that moment, demonic energy shot up from Che Yin-yoon's corpse. That was where my memory ended. January 3rd, a particularly cold, dark night. Kwong! Che Shin-yuk threw the door open. Inside a resting place for corpses, he met a familiar face. Hello, Che Shin-yuk-si. Forensic scientist Kim Jung-ho. They were reunited 11 years after the death of Che Shin-yuk's wife. Without sparing any time for greetings, Che Shin-yuk approached the corpse lying next to Kim Jung-ho. When he saw the corpse, he clenched his teeth. A cold corpse of a man whose face was half blown off. It was his son, Che Yin-yoon. Do you have any leads on the suspect? Che Shin-yuk maintained his composure as much as possible. Not yet. An isolation barrier must have been around the scene. There isn't a single trace of the incident remaining. Investigators nowadays have all sorts of supernatural gifts, psychometry, cold reading, and more. However, not even the most competent investigators in Korea could find any evidence. Was it the jinns? We're not sure. But there's demonic energy right here. Che Shin-yuk pointed to the black energy coalesced around Che Yin-yoon's right arm. Do I look like a fool? From Che Shin-yuk's reddened eyes, tears began to flow. Che Shin-yuk-si, Kim Jung-ho sighed softly. He had no choice but to say what he didn't want to say. This demonic energy came from Che Yin-yoon's body. What? Che Shin-yuk, face contorted in shock. Kim Jung-ho stared at him with downcast eyes. This demonic energy came from his body, but was stopped in the middle of traveling through his veins. That must have been because he died. Che Shin-yuk could not understand Kim Jung-ho's words. No, he refused to accept it. Demonic energy came from his body? That was impossible, unless Che Yin-yoon was a jinn. If it's you, it should be easy to find the accursed murderer who killed your son. Kim Jung-ho continued as Che Shin-yuk stared at him with widened eyes and rough breathing. With Dae-hyun's power, with Che Ju-chol's power, even rampaging through pandemonium shouldn't be difficult. But we are no longer living in the 80s. Kim Jung-ho's gaze fell on Che Yin-yoon's right arm. This right arm... After a moment of silence, Che Shin-yuk spoke. Are you the only one who knows about it? Kim Jung-ho nodded silently. Are you certain? Yes, but it's something we'll have to reveal one day. For humanity. Chae Shin-yuk placed his hand on his son's cheek. His skin was already cold and dry. Caressing what felt no different than a fish, Chae Shin-yuk muttered with a somber tone, I never thought I'd see the day my son woke up. He thought that Chae Yin-yun had died 4 years ago. He was pained by the debt he couldn't pay. But 2 weeks ago, when his son miraculously woke up, he felt like he was on the top of the world. Today, I lost my son a second time. His son passed away too quickly. It's almost as if he woke up just to say a final goodbye. That was enough heart-wrenching pain for Chae Shin-yuk to bear for the rest of his life. But I don't want to lose him a third time. For Nayun, I want to bury him peacefully. Chae Shin-yuk spoke looking at Kim Jung-ho. Because of the deep sorrow in his voice, Kim Jung-ho couldn't say anything. Tears flowed down from Chae Shin-yuk's eyes. Kim Jung-ho bowed with a sigh. I will do my best. I'll take my leave now. With that, Kim Jung-ho gave Chae Shin-yuk some time alone with his son. In an empty room with only the coldness of steel and a corpse, Chae Shin-yuk caressed his son's face with a trembling hand. Because of the tears clogging his throat, he was unable to say anything. He only had one wish. Son, my son, I hope you have a better father in your next life. It was a memory from the past. Although lacking color and missing several pieces, it was a memory I often dreamed of. Nayun! After watching me practice archery for a long time, Oppa called my name. You can take a break if it's too hard. He walked up to me carefully and held my hand. When he saw my hand bleeding with blisters and cuts, he looked sad, but I shook my head. I'm going to try even harder. I want to become even greater hero than Oppa. Hearing my bold remark, Oppa smiled and stroked my hair. His hands were warm and reliable. I hope you do too. By the way, you didn't forget about next week, right? We're going to an amusement park. A trip to Korea's most famous amusement park, Foreverland. Instead of being happy, the me in my memory shook my head with a troubled face. I can't go. I'm going somewhere else with my friends. Really? He looked disappointed, but quickly grinned. Then I guess we'll have to go some other time. Oppa is going to work now, so don't overwork yourself. You won't grow taller if you do. See you later, Oppa. This morning remained so vivid in my memory for one reason.
That night, Oppa came back in a coma. Tears flowed from my eyes the moment I woke up. Dazzling sunlight shone through the window and poked my eyes. Baekdu Mountain's morning had arrived. The air at Yusai Hyuk's martial arts school was clear and refreshing. Mana phenomena like fog and barriers were nowhere to be seen today. I shot up and looked beside my bed. The precious pictures I took with Oppa were lined up in frames. Hoo-hoo! A smile emerged on my face. After looking around the room to make sure no one was there, I took out a picture I kept hidden below them. It was a picture of me and Kim Hajin. It came out so well. I wasn't looking at this picture for any particular reason. It was just because it came out really well. It definitely wasn't because Kim Hajin was in it. After putting the picture back, I stretched. Smiling at the warm sunlight outside the window, I headed to the bath. You're here, Anmi? As soon as I entered the bath, a small 10-year-old girl greeted me. Oh, hey, you're up early too. It's Jihei. Right, Jihei. Yusai Hyuk had 16 official disciples, 8 male and 8 female. They trained under Yusai Hyuk and 5 others. However, Kim Soo-ho, me, and the other 10 camp members weren't included among the official disciples. We would only stay here for the winter break and leave afterward. So good. After taking a shower, I hopped in the hot spring.
Nothing could go wrong with staying in a mana-rich hot spring. I came out after about 20 minutes of resting. Switching into my uniform, I went out to the front yard where morning training was held. Yo, Chain Ailen. Shin Jong-hak and Kim Soo-ho came up. They seemed to have taken a bath too. I snickered and spoke. Isn't it a beautiful morning? Yeah, it is. I feel like I can beat you up today, so you better watch out. Was it because of the clear sky? I felt particularly good today. Kim Soo-ho looked at me dumbfounded and laughed. Why are you so energetic today? Is it because today's the letter day? January 3rd. It was their 10th day here. There was one special event in today's schedule. No, that has nothing to do with it. Electronics didn't work on Baekdu Mountain, so it was impossible to communicate with the rest of the world. Although this problem could be circumvented, Master Yu Sai-hyuk left things as they were. However, today was the day it was possible to communicate with the outside world. Today's letter time was exactly that. She's right, Kim Soo-ho. The only one she want to write a letter to is here, so cut the nonsense. You shut up, jeez. I smacked Shin Jung-hak's shoulder. He kept making me curse when I was trying to fix my way of talking. He's coming. Yu Sai-hyuk was walking toward us with his hands behind his back. Get ready. We stood straight in a line. How long would today's training be? 10 hours? 12 hours? 14 hours later. The sun had long since set, and the hellish training had finally ended. Currently, Chae Na-yeon was lying on her bed, staring at a piece of paper. Hi, I'm in Baekdu Mountain. Training is so easy. What are you doing? No, that doesn't sound right. She had already written the letter to send to Chae Na-yeon. Following her heart, 30 minutes was enough. However, she needed more time with this particular letter. I'm in Baekdu Mountain. Training is so easy. What are you doing? No, that's not any better. In the end, Chae Na-yeon ruffled her hair and threw her pen down. I should have read some books. I don't know how to write at all. Chae Na-yeon sighed, but unwilling to give up on this chance that came once every 10 days, she picked her pen back up. While Chae Na-yeon was deep in thought, tock. Someone knocked on her door, and the door burst open. Well, what? Startled, Chae Na-yeon hid the letter with her body. When she raised her head slowly, she saw Yu Sai-hyuk looking down at her. Chae Na-yeon. His voice was low and somber. Chae Na-yeon put the letter in her pocket and slowly got up. Yes, master? You should really knock before entering a lady's room. Come outside for a minute. His voice was low and somber. He was uncharacteristically serious. Yes? Just come outside. He sounded kind, unlike his usual self. As Chae Na-yeon followed him out, she racked her brain to remember if she had done something wrong. January 5th. The day tragic news was announced was a clear day. After receiving the news from her father and mother, Yu Yun-hae quickly ended a meeting and got into her car. Chae Na-yeon had died. Her parents didn't tell her anything else. Yu Yun-hae felt her mind go blank as she sat in the car seat. Suddenly she thought of Chae Na-yeon. It was only a couple of weeks ago that she was exhilarated at her brother waking up. When she remembered this, her heart sank. Even though it wasn't her business or something she experienced, she felt her heart tighten. Let's get off. Yu Jin-woo spoke softly. Yu Yun-hae followed her parents out of the car. No reporters dared to besiege Daehan's funeral home, making the venue quiet and lonely. Yu Yun-hae stopped while trudging up to the entrance. Under the shade of a nearby tree, she saw a familiar person, Kim Hajin. He was smoking a cigarette and staring at the funeral home with a complicated expression. Why isn't he going in? And he's smoking? Yun-hae, what are you doing? Her mother called. Yes, I'm coming. For now, Yu Yun-hae followed her mother inside. As soon as she entered the small funeral home, she looked for Chae Na-yeon. Chae Na-yeon was sitting in a daze. Her hollow eyes were filled with despair. To her, Chae Na-yeon was always bright and cheerful. It was the first time she had seen this side of her. Swallowing her sigh,
Yu Yunhei stood in front of the family of the deceased. "Nayun? Oh, Yunhei, you came." Che Nayun greeted Yu Yunhei. She tried to smile cheerfully, but that only made her look more pitiful. Her lifeless eyes seemed ready to burst into tears, but she was desperately holding herself back. Yu Yunhei understood. That was the kind of girl Che Nayun was. "Yeah, wait just a minute." After adjusting her dress, Yu Yunhei walked in front of Che Nayun's portrait and bowed with her family. Che Xin shook she. "Oh, you're here." While the two fathers talked, Yu Yunhei walked back to Che Nayun. She looked into her eyes and held her hand softly. Nayun, where are the others?" I didn't tell them, so don't call them here." Che Nayun sounded desperate. However, Yu Yunhei thought of Kim Hajin, who was waiting outside smoking a cigarette. "But even if you say that person is already outside." "That person?" Che Nayun asked meekly. "Kim Hajin?" Hearing the name Yu Yunhei mentioned, Che Nayun fell into a daze. She sat motionless as though struck by great shock. "I'll be right back." Then she walked out of the funeral home. Che Nayun couldn't even walk properly. Her legs were trembling. The way Che Nayun staggered forward was too different from her usual energetic self. Yu Yunhei could only feel sorry.
Chapter 128. When I opened my eyes, I saw an unfamiliar ceiling. It wasn't just unfamiliar. It was more luxurious than anything I'd ever seen. Catholic frescoes adorned the walls and ceilings, and as I focused, the colors of the murals became clearer, resonating with my mana. It was a mysterious mechanism. "You're up?" While I was staring at the frescoes in a daze, a voice rang out. Turning, I saw Boss sitting on a chair. She sipped her tea and looked at me. "You slept for 2 days." Hearing this, I quickly sat up. Many things could have happened in 2 days. However, Boss remained calm. There were many things I wanted to ask her, but couldn't. After looking at me for a while, Boss smiled lightly. "The funeral is starting today." A dazed voice escaped my lips. At the same time, memories of the moment I pulled the trigger resurfaced. Che Yin-yun's funeral. Did I have the right to go there? I clenched my teeth. Suddenly, a strong urge overwhelmed me. I rummaged through my pocket but couldn't find my pack of cigarettes. "Your weapon is here." Misunderstanding my motion, Boss pointed at the shelf. My Desert Eagle was sitting there. I carefully picked it up. Likely because it was clad in aether, it wasn't damaged at all. "So where are we?" As I spoke, I put the Desert Eagle into Stigma's magic power. Seeing the handgun transform into a current of mana and seep into my arm, Boss widened her eyes. "That's quite an interesting storage method." "It's nothing much." I shrugged. Boss grinned and continued proudly. "This is my mansion, built on an island in the East Sea. Just in case you're misunderstanding, this entire island is my home." "Wow, that's amazing." Since Boss liked being praised, I exaggerated a bit. "Why don't we open the windows?" Boss opened the windows proudly. I looked outside at the gem-like ocean, clear sky, and salty breeze. It indeed was a scenery worth bragging about. "Wait, so how do we get back?" "Huh? You don't have a personal portal?" Boss was clearly showing off. Personal portal. It was a system for the rich. If I remember correctly, there was one in Busan. "Then I'd like to head home." "You can stay a bit longer. There is someone waiting for me." "I see." Boss reluctantly led me outside. The unknown island I was on had many attendants running about. However, none of them were human. They were puppets created by Boss's magic power, able to perform only set tasks. Boss was living amidst puppets she created herself. It's a lonely place. Sometimes you need to get used to loneliness.
I walked through the garden toward Boss's personal portal. After about 10 minutes enjoying the island's beautiful scenery, I could see the so-called personal portal in the distance. Although it was smaller than the ones at portal stations, it was still a high-tech magical tool that worked just as well. So I just have to go in? Yes, it should be connected to Busan. I'll come with you. There's something I need to take care of in Inland. Boss made a call. Soon, the portal was activated and we stepped inside. Once we arrived at Busan Portal Station, we went through the VIP-only path and stopped at a crossroads. Boss's destination was England and mine was Seoul. Then I'll see you later. Yes. After exchanging a light goodbye, I walked away. Closing my eyes, I felt the magic power of the portal engulfing my body. When I opened my eyes, I saw the now familiar sight of Seoul Portal Station. I left the station without much thought, then bought 3 packs of cigarettes. Cha Yin-yun's funeral should be held at Daehyun's funeral home. I located it using the Book of Truth and walked there. I could see the silent and somber funeral home, but I couldn't bring myself to go in. I also didn't think I could get past the guards standing outside. So I decided to watch from a distance. I told myself I'd go back once my heart calmed down. Standing nearby, I took out a cigarette. After lighting it without a lighter, I took a deep breath. A puff of smoke entered my lungs. 1, then 2. I subconsciously began to smoke again and again. Huh? Suddenly, a 4th visitor came to pay respects to the deceased. I saw Yu Yanhua walking into the funeral home. Although I didn't meet her eyes, I felt an unknown sense of foreboding. I felt like I had to leave before it was too late. But it was already too late. A dazed voice escaped my lips. At the same time, memories of the moment I pulled the trigger resurfaced. Chae Yin-yun's funeral. Did I have the right to go there? I clenched my teeth. Suddenly, a strong urge overwhelmed me. I rummaged through my pocket but couldn't find my pack of cigarettes. Your weapon is here. Misunderstanding my motion, Boss pointed at the shelf. My Desert Eagle was sitting there. I carefully picked it up. Likely because it was clad in aether, it wasn't damaged at all. So, where are we? As I spoke, I put the Desert Eagle into Stigma's magic power. Seeing the handgun transform into a current of mana and seep into my arm, Boss widened her eyes. That's quite an interesting storage method. It's nothing much. I shrugged. Boss grinned and continued proudly. This is my mansion, built on an island in the East Sea. Just in case you're misunderstanding, this entire island is my home. Wow, that's amazing. Since Boss liked being praised, I exaggerated a bit. Why don't we open the windows? Boss opened the windows proudly. I looked outside at the gem-like ocean, clear sky, and salty breeze. It indeed was a scenery worth bragging about. Wait, so how do we get back? Huh? You don't have a personal portal? Boss was clearly showing off. Personal portal. It was a system for the rich. If I remember correctly, there was one in Busan. Then I'd like to head home. You can stay a bit longer. There is someone waiting for me. I see. Boss reluctantly led me outside. The unknown island I was on had many attendants running about. However, none of them were human. They were puppets created by Boss's magic power, able to perform only set tasks. Boss was living amidst puppets she created herself. It's a lonely place. Sometimes you need to get used to loneliness. I walked through the garden toward Boss's personal portal. After about 10 minutes enjoying the island's beautiful scenery, I could see the so-called personal portal in the distance. Although it was smaller than the ones at portal stations, it was still a high-tech magical tool that worked just as well. So I just have to go in? Yes, it should be connected to Busan. I'll come with you. There's something I need to take care of in England." Boss made a call. Soon the portal was activated and we stepped inside. Once we arrived at Busan Portal Station, we went through the VIP-only path and stopped at a crossroads. Boss's destination was England, and mine was Seoul. "Then I'll see you later." "Yes." After exchanging a light goodbye, I walked away. Closing my eyes, I felt the magic power of the portal engulfing my body. When I opened my eyes, I saw the now familiar sight of Seoul Portal Station. I left the station without much thought, then bought 3 packs of cigarettes. Chae Yin-yoon's funeral should be held at Daehyun's funeral home. I located it using the Book of Truth and walked there. I could see the silent and somber funeral home, but I couldn't bring myself to go in. I also didn't think I could get past the guards standing outside. So I decided to watch from a distance. I told myself I'd go back once my heart calmed down. Standing nearby, I took out a cigarette. After lighting it without a lighter, I took a deep breath. A puff of smoke entered my lungs. 1, then 2. I subconsciously began to smoke again and again. Huh? Suddenly, a 4th visitor came to pay respects to the deceased. I saw Yu Yunhua walking into the funeral home. Although I didn't meet her eyes, I felt an unknown sense of foreboding. I felt like I had to leave before it was too late. But it was already too late. A dazed voice escaped my lips.
Chae Na-yoon walked out of the entrance. Looking around the funeral home, our eyes met. Her eyes were filled with tears. When I saw her face, my feet refused to move. Tap, tap. Chae Na-yoon walked toward me, wearing a mourning dress. Her movements felt slow, and the sound of her footsteps was all too clear. "Kim Hajin!" She arrived in front of me before I realized and called my name. Not knowing what to do, I stayed silent. "How did you find out? Did Yu Yunha tell you?" Chae Na-yoon forced a smile, trying hard to pretend she was fine. "By the way, are you a delinquent? Why are you smoking?" However, her forced smile only made her face look more contorted. "Why aren't you answering? Hey, let me have that." Suddenly, Chae Na-yoon reached out to take my cigarette. "What? Are you crazy?" I blurted out without thinking. I threw the cigarette on the ground and stepped on it. Chae Na-yoon didn't look down at the cigarette. Her gaze stayed fixed on me. "Does smoking make it better?" Chae Na-yoon suddenly asked. Her voice was shaking, and a stream of tears flowed down her cheeks. Immediately, my vision turned hazy. "Why are you crying?" Only when she told me did I realize I was crying. I wiped my tears with one hand. Chae Na-yoon walked up to me, one step at a time. Soon, she was only a single step away. Our bodies were practically touching. I had to push her away, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. My heart couldn't follow what my brain was telling me. Chae Na-yoon was crying. In front of her tears, my body was frozen and unable to move. What do I do now?" Sobbing quietly, she lowered her head to hide her tears. Then her forehead touched my chest. I couldn't breathe. Suddenly, I remembered what I thought before, that as long as I wasn't found out, I could maintain this relationship. But seeing Chae Na-yoon crying like a child, I realized that was impossible from the start. Chae Na-yoon put her arms around me. Our bodies touched, and she cried in my embrace. I was in pain. It felt like my heart was going to burst. I tried to push her away, but she didn't let go. In fact, she drew even closer. The pain I felt only grew stronger by the second. What do I do about Oppa?" She finally burst into tears. Unable to hold herself any longer, she trembled uncontrollably. "Oppa! Oppa! Oppa!" Her grief-stricken sobbing became poison that seeped into my body. "Poor Oppa! What am I supposed to do?" I couldn't bear to watch her sorrowful trembling. Her body weighed down on me. I knew all too well that I had no right to comfort her. I was someone who didn't belong here. However, before I realized it, my arms tightened around her. Chae Na-yoon dug into my body, as though trying to fill the emptiness in her heart with me. If I... Wong... Chae Na-yoon's tears wet my chest. My tears flowed down to her shoulders. The cold winter breeze blew against us, and the bitterness of the cigarette smoke engulfed us. Chae Na-yoon couldn't withstand her sadness. Her legs gave out, and soon she crumbled down from the depths of her heart. It was then that I finally found what I could say. Sorry. That was the only thing I could tell her. I'm sorry. Yu Yeon-ha watched the two from a distance. The situation was too melancholy and somber to be called a touching reunion. All sorts of complicated thoughts flashed through Yu Yeon-ha's mind. If one day Chae Na-yoon found out the truth, if one day Kim Hajin found out the truth, would their story come to a sad ending? Or would they overcome all odds and find happiness? Yu Yeon-ha didn't try to come up with an answer. She put the matter of the future to rest. Huh? When she was about to go back to the funeral home, Chae Na-yoon suddenly lost strength and collapsed. She had undoubtedly fainted. Yu Yeon-ha quickly ran up to them. Is she okay? The moment she yelled, her eyes met Kim Hajin's. Yu Yeon-ha shuddered uninvitingly. His eyes were frighteningly hollow. Leaving Chae Na-yoon to Yu Yeon-ha, I came back home. An apartment in Seoul's Socho district, the home where Evandel and Hyung were waiting. Standing in front of the door, I pressed the password. Beep, beep, beep. Before the door even opened, I could hear a bustling sound inside. I didn't go in on purpose. Who is it? Hearing the password go through, but the door remaining closed, Evandel murmured curiously. I grinned and opened the door. I'm home. From my perspective, not even half a day had passed since I last saw them, but for Evandel, it had been 2 days. Evandel smiled brightly and ran into my embrace. Evandel! I got on my knees and hugged her. Evandel was light and warm. Then I suddenly wondered, did I hug Evandel or did Evandel hug me? I felt something rising up from the bottom of my heart. I shuddered at the constricting pain. Evandel! Why were you so late? I was waiting. Sorry, something came up. As Evandel tried to get out of my embrace, I held her tighter. Ah! Did you eat well? We ordered food. By the way, it's getting stuffy. I'm glad. And you went on a walk? I continued asking, loosening my arms a bit so I wouldn't hurt Evandel. I went with Hyung. Oh, right. I even built a sandcastle with a new friend. Really? I couldn't say anything more. Because of the lump in my throat, my voice wouldn't come out.
Chapter 129. I opened my eyes to a white ceiling. My mind felt hazy, and my vision was foggy. Was I dreaming? Or did I wake up from a dream? The boundary between reality and dreams was ambiguous. However, the smell of cigarette smoke on my body woke me up to the truth. The painful reality that I hoped wasn't true flooded into my mind. I couldn't deny reality, no matter how much I wanted to. Chae Na-yoon sniffled. Letting out a sigh, she looked outside the window. Perhaps because she let out her pent-up feelings, the current of emotions that seemed to be eating away at her disappeared, leaving behind calmness. "You're up?" Master? Yu Si-yuk's calm eyes were looking down at her. China Yun stared at him with widened eyes. Yu Si-yuk sighed. You can come back to the mountain whenever you want. For now, take your time and rest. Yu Si-yuk rarely let go of disciples he accepted. China Yun and Chai Jin-yoon were two of the few disciples he acknowledged. Unaccustomed to Yu Si-yuk's kindness, China Yun only stared at him blankly. What? Got a problem? No, not at all. China Yun quickly shook her head. Good. Then? Actually, China Yun cut Yu Si-yuk off and raised her upper body. Seeing the black mourning clothes she was wearing, she felt her heart throb, but she didn't want to waste any more time lying around. Once the burial ends, I'll go back right away. She clenched her fists. Strong determination and conviction rose up from her heart. Yu Si-yuk shook his head with a concerned expression. No, you shouldn't push yourself. I heard he was murdered. China Yang clenched her teeth. Her father didn't explain much, only that an unknown assailant attacked China Yun. I was told so as well. China Yun was one of Yu Si-yuk's beloved disciples. The chilling rage he felt was noticeable even by China Yun. Don't think about taking the matter into your own hands, Master. China Yun looked down at her small and calloused hands. Finally, I found something I had to do with my hands. Furthermore, it was something only I had the right to accomplish. I will find him and kill him myself. Yu Si-yuk calmly looked at China Yun, murmuring in rage. Oh, right. Suddenly, China Yun widened her eyes as though she remembered something. Before then, please give me 4 days. Sure. No, maybe a week is better. So, is a week okay? Yu Si-yuk narrowed his eyes. However, he couldn't say anything to China Yun, who was doing her best to hide her sorrow and show her anger. Just contact me whenever you're ready. Thank you, Master. Yu Si-yuk got up from his seat and opened the door to leave. Yu Yan-ha was also walking in. Hello, Sir Yu Si-yuk? I don't need to be addressed so politely by a kid. Ugh! Yu Si-yuk poked Yu Yan-ha's forehead before walking past her. Yu Yan-ha watched him leave with a pout, then approached China Yun's bed. Yan-ha! Hey, Na-yun, are you feeling better? Yeah, I feel a lot better now. By the way, China Yun didn't finish her sentence, but Yu Yan-ha knew what she wanted to say. That person went back home. Ah, I see. Where's my smartwatch? Yu Yan-ha pointed at the shelf. China Yun grabbed her smartwatch, then grinned. Hey, which information guilds are good nowadays? It was clear what she wanted to do. Yu Yan-ha put on a serious face and spoke. Leave it to me. Yu Yan-ha announced proudly. I'll take responsibility and find out who did this. Oh! Hearing China Yun's exclamation of awe, Yu Yan-ha smiled. Since we're friends, I'll give you a 30% discount. What? Chai Ju-chel, the president of Daeun Group, had a unique hobby that was famous throughout the world. His hobby was collecting castles. And Chai Ju-chel the Immortal already had 100 castles of various styles. In France's Centre-Val de l'Eure region was a famous castle Chai Ju-chel purchased. This castle, called Château de Chenonceau, was built during the Renaissance and was an important landmark in the city. As one of Chai Ju-chel's favorite castles, it was naturally where he liked to stay. Currently, Chai Ju-chel was sitting on a throne inside the castle. To think this old man would lose his grandson at this age. Although Chai Ju-chel was well over 80 years old, no one other than himself would dare to call him an old man. His abundant white hair was pushed up nicely, and his well-built body was adorned with a luxury suit. The only thing that made him look like an old man was the cane he carried around with him. Secretary Kim, what do you think I'm feeling? He placed the question on his secretary, who was bowing in front of him. I wouldn't dare to imagine, the secretary answered. Chai Ju-chel then got up from his throne.
You're right. Chaiju Chel's apathetic eyes fell on his secretary. Unable to withstand these eyes, the secretary lowered his upper body even more. Shin-hyuk should be holding a funeral right now. His President Chai Shin-hyuk is handling the retrieval of the corpse and investigation of the suspect. He said he wanted to take care of it quietly. Is that so? Gung. Chaiju Chel's cane knocked on the ground. Seeing how my hot-tempered son is staying quiet, something must have happened to my grandson. Chaiju Chel didn't react coldly at his grandson's death. Rather, he sounded apathetic. What shall we do? No matter the situation, someone touched the Chai clan's blood. If I let him off the hook, that won't reflect very well on me. He spoke calmly as though it was the most natural thing to do. Call Yu Jin-hyuk. Yes, understood. Chaiju Chel smiled lightly. Yu Jin-hyuk, although he was a member of the Yu clan, he was kicked out because of a great mistake he committed in the past. But because of his useful ability, Chaiju Chel had kept him alive. Since it looked like he made quite a name for himself, Chaiju Chel felt it was time for him to pay back his debt. In that case, how shall we gauge the price? Price? For the first time, Chaiju Chel's expression changed. As he furrowed one of his brows, but soon, in the most relaxed manner, he rubbed his chin as though he was in thought. Price, you say? Then he made a sinister laugh and spoke coldly. If he dares to ask for a price, tell him to carefully consider why he is still alive. Winter. 4 days had passed since Chai Ne-yoon's 3-day funeral. Currently, I was in Seoul Grand Park. Chai Ne-yoon said she wanted to meet me here. When she said Chai Ne-yoon was buried in a memorial in this park, there was simply no way for me to refuse. It's so cold. I could see my breath as I waited on the bench. Currently, it was 3:10 p.m. 10 minutes had already passed since our promised time, but Chai Ne-yoon was nowhere to be seen. I shouldn't have come. I murmured in regret at the poor decision I made. At that moment, something warm touched my shoulders, and something sharp fell on my head.
When I glanced up, Chai Ne-yoon was pressing down on my shoulders with her hands and resting her chin on my head. What are you doing? Sorry, were you waiting for a long time? No, not really. Chai Ne-yoon sat down next to me with a smile, then leaned against my shoulder. Suddenly, she sniffed my clothes and frowned. You smell like cigarettes. Kum. I scratched my neck. I've been addicted to smoking lately. It was worse than when I smoked in the past, which wasn't too surprising given the situation I was in. But what surprised me the most was that cigarettes had a temporary effect of raising the perseverance stat. A single cigarette raised it by 0.3 points for about an hour. I've spent some time to look for the best brand as well. But you better not. I couldn't help but laugh as I said that. I never thought I'd say something so pretentious to a girl. But I'm already smoking it indirectly. Without replying to her, I raised my right shoulder, which Chai Ne-yoon was leaning on. Ah! Ow! Chai Ne-yoon was pushed away. She glared at me with a pout, then suddenly bit my shoulder. Ach! What's wrong with you? Yummy! Don't say strange things. Chai Ne-yoon pulled her head back. I looked at her quizzically and noticed that she was scanning my clothes from top to bottom. Hee, I can see that you chose your clothes carefully. No, I'd normally wear these. Please, you're usually only wearing the cadet uniform. By the way, they look good on you. We talked as though everything was normal. Chai Ne-yoon and I both didn't bring up anything from that day. Hey, I'm going back. Chai Ne-yoon suddenly changed the topic. Going back where? To Baekdu Mountain. Will you be okay? Only a week had passed since Choi Jin-yoon died. When I thought about it, I became stifled for breath, and my hands began trembling. I could only imagine how bad it was for Chai Ne-yoon. Yeah, of course. Even so, she gave such a cheerful reply.
I could at least be somewhat relieved. However, Chae Na-yoon seemed to have something else to say as she poked my shoulder. What now? So, yeah? Wait for me for just a month and a half. A month and a half. That was how long Chae Na-yoon's training would take. Knowing what she was implying, I suppressed the throbbing pain in my heart and feigned a smile. What's in it for me if I do? I can't tell you that. Huh. I sighed. From this point on, everything was uncharted territory. It was a story I couldn't imagine or write down. I could only wonder how Chae Na-yoon and I would see each other at the end of this story. Don't worry, I at least won't run away until then. That was the only assurance I could give her. Really? It was then. Chae Na-yoon wrapped her arms around my neck and pulled me in. Her face filled my vision. At a distance close enough for our breaths to mix and our noses to touch, Chae Na-yoon smiled bashedly. Then I can be at ease. With that, she placed her forehead on my chest. After rubbing her head a few times, "Ugh, you smell like cigarettes!" She shot up with a frown and turned around. Although she was trying to hide her face, I could see her bright red ears. "Your face is going to explode! What did you do that for?" What about my face?" Chae Na-yoon stuttered. I made a bitter smile and got up. Standing side by side, we looked at the park scenery. Under the cold winter sky, the park was bustling with countless people. The news of Chae Jin-yoon's death swept through the entire world. However, Daeon Group didn't reveal much information. As a result, only unfounded rumors and speculations existed on the web. Naturally, none of them were even remotely close to the truth. "Here you go, Kim Hajin-si." "Thank you." Today was January 27th. I came all the way to the post office to receive a letter. It was because Chae Na-yoon didn't know my home address and sent her letters to the Seoul post office. Sitting down before a desk nearby, I opened the letter. Although her personality was like a man's, her handwriting couldn't be more girly. "How are you? I'm doing fine. Well, to be honest, what happened pops into my head every time I sleep. I don't know if I can last any longer. But what's funny is that training is just as hard, so it's actually making things okay. Also, the food here is at the 3-star Michelin level. The ingredients are all highest quality because of how rich this place is in manna. It's super good. Oh, right, I tried smoking a cigarette. I stole one from an instructor." "Eh?" I widened my eyes and continued reading. "I can't believe you can smoke this thing. It was so bitter that I threw it away immediately." Should I say I'm glad? Anyway, I was almost at the end of the letter. "Can you write back more often? Unlike the others, I can write letters once every 4 days. I'll write another one then." When I put Chae Na-yoon's letter down, I could see another piece of paper behind it. It was a blank letter. If I remember correctly, this letter was a magical item. Once I wrote something on it, the same thing should be shown on a letter in Baekdu Mountain. I looked at the letter. Before coming here, I thought over and over. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to accept her letters or write to her. I thought about just running away, disappearing from Chae Na-yoon's side. But no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't get anywhere. "Kya!" A sudden scream rang out. I looked out the post office window. What? Monsters were climbing up from the manhole in the middle of the road. I didn't expect to see monsters in the middle of Seoul, but I wasn't too surprised. After all, now was around the time monsters would start appearing more frequently. I furrowed my brows and observed the world outside. Since heroes would arrive soon, I knew that I didn't have to take the matter into my own hands. But at that moment, I caught sight of a vicious-looking mole rat chasing after a kid. Before I could even think, my body moved. I left the letter behind and ran out of the post office. At the same time, I took out the Desert Eagle from Stigma. I pulled the trigger immediately. The bullet I fired pierced through the head of the mole rat chasing after the kid. "Sung-hyuk!" The mother of the kid quickly ran over and took him away.
Ordinary people began to scream and run away at the sight of the monsters. However, I walked in the opposite direction and transformed the Desert Eagle into an assault rifle. There sure are many of them. 70 or so monsters had already come out of the manhole. Although they all looked different, the strongest one among them only seemed to be at intermediate rank grade 7. That being the case, I aimed my gun forward and fired. I didn't need to move the gun in any way. Curve shot. The bullets I fired curved in all sorts of angles, flying in all directions. It was as though each bullet was alive and chasing after its prey. The time it took to kill 70 monsters was no more than 1 second. As soon as the gunshot sounds subsided, the road became completely silent.
I infused Stigma's magic power into the Desert Eagle and put it away. Don't take pictures. I admonished people who were trying to take pictures. With a slightly disappointed look, they began to furiously type. I saw something amazing in Seoul. I saw someone killing monsters with a gun. They were probably writing things like that. I couldn't stop them, and since it was common knowledge that there was a cube cadet using a gun, I simply returned to the post office. When I was agonizing over what to do with the letter, an interesting piece of news came up on the post office's TV. Essence of the Strait's leader, Eugene Wang, lets his daughter take on important guild matters. The world's rank 2 guild, Essence of the Strait, caught in grave arrogation. Suspected nepotism and abuse of authority. The person in question is a 17-year-old minor? Emergency. Monsters have invaded various parts of Seoul's underground system. Although the danger level is low, civilians are recommended to stay home. Although the timing was a bit delayed, it finally happened. But since I already had all the ingredients to prepare a counterpunch, I wasn't too worried. In fact, Yu Yanha would use this opportunity to purge or placate all opposition, paving the way to her absolute rule. The more important matter was this letter in front of me. Chapter 130. Yu Jinwang's daughter, Yu Yanha. Irrigation scandal. The guild leader's daughter is running the guild? Yu Yanha bit her fingernails as she watched the news. When the monster outbreak in Seoul first hit the headlines, she thought her own scandal would be buried. But that wasn't the case. Instead, more articles about Essence of the Strait appeared from the second day, and by the third day, even false rumors were spreading. Her smartwatch was flooded with calls and messages, and she was bombarded with attacks on social media. People left all sorts of derisive comments, saying she was undeserving of her position or that she used her looks to manipulate others. The stress gave her a pounding headache. Yu Yanha closed her eyes and pressed her forehead. She usually noticed such attacks before they happened, but this time she was caught completely off guard. The attack was meticulously organized. Yu Yanha criticized herself bitterly. She used her information guild to watch for outside threats, but let internal threats undetected. It's not looking good. Most of Yu Yanha's money came from her mother, but she was the one who invested it in various businesses. While not illegal, it was true that Essence of the Strait's money was used for her investments. Since Falling Blossom was an information guild active in Violet Banquet, she wouldn't be able to escape expulsion from Cube if the public found out. That would also negatively impact the guild. But what worried her most was disappointing her mother. Who is it? Yu Yanha bit her lips. Too much of the guild's internal data had become public. Clearly, the perpetrator was a guild member, likely from the vice leader's faction. The problem was, no one from that faction should have had so much information on her. My stomach. Her stomach churned from the stress. She buried her head on the desk, clutching her stomach. The timing couldn't be worse. Kim Hajin's past, Chae Jin-yoon's death, Creator's Sacred Grace's Tower of Miracle campaign. My stomach! This time her stomach hurt for a different reason. Creator's Sacred Grace was in the middle of conquering the Tower of Miracle. If they succeeded, Essence of the Strait would be left chasing their shadow. Now, with this scandal, Essence of the Strait could even fall below rank 2. Yu Yanha rolled her feet and cried. For the past 4 days, she had trouble sleeping and eating. It wouldn't be strange if she fainted at any moment. "Excuse me, young lady." Yu Yanha raised her head. "What is it now?" "Someone has come to see you." Annoyed, she stomped to the interphone. "I told you to kick all the reporters out." Well, he's not a reporter, but a cadet. He keeps saying he's young lady's ally." Ally. Yu Yanha furrowed her brows. There was only one person who would call himself her ally. "Is it Kim Hajin?" "Yes. He says he has something to give you. Should I let him enter?" Tell him to wait. I'll go out myself." Yu Yanha left her room and headed to the lobby of her family mansion. It took some time given the size of the mansion. She let out a small sigh as she opened the front door. The outside air rushed in. She breathed in fresh air for the first time in a while. She saw Kim Ha-jin waiting by the main gate beyond the garden. When she gave the sign, the guard opened the gate and Kim Ha-jin walked toward her. "What's up?" Yu Yanha asked as he arrived at the door. Kim Ha-jin held up a plastic bag. "You weren't picking up my calls or responding to my messages, so I came here myself." Well, as you know, things haven't been going so well. Anyway, what's that?" She pointed to the bag. Kim Ha-jin opened it and showed her the contents. Spicy rice cakes, sundae, fish cakes, hamburger, fried chicken. Foods Yu Yanha loved. I told you I don't like these things." She almost gave in to temptation, but quickly snapped out of it, reacting sharply. It was her old habit. To not appear weak, she had to show her thorns. "This is just a present." Kim Ha-jin forced the bag into her hands. "Oh, really?" She wanted to refuse, but the smell of food was too tempting. "I'm going to throw them in the trash. I can't just have them lying out here." "Sure, do whatever. By the way, are your parents home?" "They're outside dealing with what happened. I don't know if it will be recoverable, though." Suddenly, Kim Ha-jin grinned. He rummaged in his pocket and pulled out a large envelope. Yu Yanha tilted her head. "What's that?" "Bullets." "Bullets?" He handed her the envelope. Though confused, she opened it. "Truth Agency. Thank you for using Truth Agency, the center of trust and honesty. The information you wanted has been summarized below. The following is the list of individuals related to Yu Yanha irrigation scandal." On the first page was a logo of a half-bitten apple with the words, Truth Agency. "What's this?" "Truth Agency. Haven't you heard of them? They're the hottest information agency right now. I splurged quite a bit of my money." Yu Yanha and Kim Ha-jin sounded like they were acting. Dumbfounded, Yu Yanha asked, "What's up with the half-bitten apple?" "It's their logo, I guess." "Why is something like this their logo?" "I'm sure you'll get addicted to it if you stare at it long enough." "It looks bad, though." She glanced at it again. "The following is the list of individuals related to Yu Yanha irrigation scandal." The final line caught her attention. "It's fine, I can deal with it on my own. I'm not so shameless as to receive help on such a private matter." "Who said it was free?" "Eh?" She tried to return the envelope, but Kim Ha-jin snatched it away. "You make armors too, right?" Yes, of course." "What about armors for beasts?" "Why would we make that?" "Try it." He handed her the envelope. Yu Yanha took it almost as if enchanted. "And read that carefully." With that, Kim Ha-jin turned and left. "What was that?" Yu Yanha watched him leave, blank-faced. Once he was gone, she remembered the envelope and peeked inside. Perpetrators. 1. Park Sang-ho. Kept secret records of Yu Jin-wong's dealings in his personal database. Greedy for money, has participated multiple times in the vice leader's illegal dungeon campaigns. Yu Yanha's eyes widened. The list didn't just have names, but definitive proof of their wrongdoing. What is this?" She quickly looked up, but Kim Ha-jin was already driving away on his bike. Yu Yanha stared after him in a daze. The tide quickly reversed. Although Yu Yanha was at the center of the scandal at first, that changed when the vice leader's faction's wrongdoings were exposed. Smuggling, illegal hiring of mercenaries, unreported dungeon conquests, tax evasion.
Of course, as they were still members of Essence of the Strait, the guild couldn't avoid a temporary fall in rank and loss of public trust. But with all the rotten roots pulled out, only growth and prosperity awaited them. Yu Yanha would undoubtedly lead Essence of the Strait to the world's rank 1 position. Thank you so much. Please convey the message to Truth Agency as well. Thanks to you, guild members from the Vice Leaders faction are groveling at my feet. Oh right, what did you mean by armors for beasts? We've never made them before, but we can make as many as you want of the highest quality. Just give us the details. Emoticon of a squirrel clasping its hands and thanking me. Today was February 13th. After replying to Yu Yanha's message in detail, I checked the announcement Cube just released. Cadet rankings. Kim Hajin, rank 334 to rank 121, up 213 rank. Cadet rankings had changed. I climbed 213 ranks and was now at rank 121, reaching the top 10% of my grade. It was a drastic change considering I was at rank 934 a year ago. Curious about people's reactions, I logged on to Cube's cadet community. Damn, Kim Ha-jin, he's shooting up in the ranks. I mean, he's a god in theory. Apparently he got perfect scores on all PRAI-2 tests. I don't think anyone can deny that he's a genius. I heard the professors say that he could easily win a Nobel Prize if he focused on theory. But isn't there a rumor about him wanting to become a mercenary? Why would he do that? Even with his gun-related gift, many high intermediate rank guilds are after him. I heard he might enter the English Royal Court Guild. English Royal Court Guild? Wait, is this Rachel? No, I don't know what you mean by that. As expected, my name was all over the cadet community. For the record, PRAI-2 stood for Phenomenon Realm Analysis 2. Congratulations, rank 100. At that moment, Rachel's message arrived. Thank you. After replying, I checked Rachel's rank. Rachel, rank 3 to rank 3. She was still at rank 3. Kim Soo-ho and Shin Jong-hak were rank 1 and 2. Chai Ne-yoon was still at rank 4, while Yu Yanha had fallen to rank 9. It wasn't surprising, since she only cared about staying in the top 10. Oh right, when will you be coming to England? Winter break is ending soon. Rachel probably sent it without much thought, but it made me pause. The new school year began a bit late for second-year cadets. Not only would classes be reassigned, but cadets also had to make their own schedules, like in college. At the moment, I was thinking about dropping out. I don't think I'll be able to go. I just don't have the time. Ah, really? That's a shame. Peep, 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 peep. I'm home. Meow. The door opened, and Evandel and Hyung walked in. Oh, welcome. I got up and greeted them. Recently, Evandel had been going out more often, but I wasn't worried. This was a rich neighborhood with plenty of safe playgrounds and cafes. Hajin, I went on a slide today. Oh yeah? How was it? It was like a cave. I went down like shoo! I'm glad you had fun. Now it's time to study. Evandel pouted. It was great that she was having fun and making friends, but training her intelligence was necessary for her growth as a witch. After all, Evandel would become a great boon for humanity in the future. I'll do it after I eat. Really? Evandel jumped out of my embrace and began texting someone on her smartwatch, probably the friend she mentioned. Evandel, I wanted to ask you, do you want to keep staying here? Even if I didn't drop out, I could ask to commute starting from the second year. It would be a bit of a hassle to go to Seoul Portal Station every morning, but it wasn't a big deal if it was for Evandel. No. He shook his head. Why? Hajin, are you leaving? He replied with another question, sounding afraid and worried.
Realizing why, I smiled brightly. No, all three of us will stay together as long as you want. With Hajin? Yep, then yes. Evandel nodded happily. Baekdu Mountains, UC-hyuk Martial Arts School. As soon as her hellish 12-hour-long training ended, Chai Ne-yoon ran to the mailroom. Ajushi, is it here today? The man at the counter grinned and handed her a letter. Here you go, kid. Oh, thank you. Chai Ne-yoon took the letter. Today it was February 13th. Almost 2 weeks had passed since she last received a letter. What is he even busy with? Ever since the first letter, Kim Ha-jin had slowed down in replying, from 4 days to a week, then 2 weeks. But now that she received it, she felt a surge of joy. Chai Ne-yoon left the mailroom with a big grin. Huh? What are you two doing? Outside, Kim Soo-ho and Shin Jong-hak were waiting. In truth, she had told them what happened, that her older brother died. Hello? Can you hear me? No, it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. They glanced at each other and scratched their cheeks. Ugh, Chai Ne-yoon sighed. If you want to help me, just treat me like you always do. Got it? On the outside, Chai Ne-yoon acted the same as always. But when she was alone, she couldn't hide her sorrow and cried herself to sleep every night. The only reason she put on a strong front was to resist being devoured by grief. She knew her oppa would want the same. Still, Kim Soo-ho sighed, looking uncomfortable. Shin Jong-hak suddenly stepped up. Chai Ne-yoon, you can lean on me whenever you want. Are you mad? I'm leaving. Also, don't follow me around, it's gross. Chai Ne-yoon pushed the two away and ran to her room. As soon as she got inside, she slammed the door and opened the letter. I'm glad that you're doing well. It's almost time to come back, so make the best of it. Don't get hurt. I've been busy lately, so I won't be able to write often. Sorry. That's it? Chai Ne-yoon murmured in a daze. Was she being pranked by her masters? She checked the back, but there was nothing else. The letter only had 4 sentences. Chai Ne-yoon was confused. She didn't want to believe that this was it. Did I do something wrong? Suddenly, Chai Ne-yoon felt a strong urge to leave the mountain.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.